Hi, I'd like to learn a little portion of the Zohar together with you. It's a portion that has to do with the 3 weeks, the times that we're in. And so we're going to jump right in. Rabbi Yesa Patach, Rabbi Yesa, one of the students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, opened up with a teaching with a verse, Al Naharot Bavel Sham Yashavnu Gamachinim Zochinim Tzion. On the rivers of Babylon we were sitting, we were crying, remembering Tzion. So the Zohar asks, Et Yerushalayim Baile. It should have said Jerusalem. Why does King David say in the Psalm, or later on said in history, that we remember Tzion? We don't remember Yerushalayim. What's the idea over here? It says, if I shall forget Jerusalem, then my right side shall be forgotten. So what does it mean, Tzion? So the Zohar says, so what is this an analogy of? Levar Nash. This is an analogy of an individual, that a person has a beautiful chamber. So all types of bandits came along and they set the place on fire. Tzara demanu. So whose pain is this? Lav de mare de chala. Is it not for the owner of this chamber? So someone has a beautiful house, a beautiful home, and somebody comes in and destroys it. So even though it's rented out to someone else, or it's an Airbnb, or whatever it may be, who's really feeling the pain of what was happening? It was the owner of the house. And so too, Ofacha, Shechinah begaluta sharya. The holy Shechinah, divine presence, is in exile. Tzara de manhu, whose pain is it? Lav de tzaddik, is it not the pain of the tzaddik? And the tzaddik referring over here, the Zohar says, tzaddik chai olamim, that there's a tzaddik of the entire world, and that is Kuchabrichu, that is Hashem. And so why does it say that we mourn? And the mourning, it has to do with Tzion. It has to do specifically with that level of Tzion, because Tzion is referring to the owner of the house. The owner of the house over here, we're talking about the Shechinah's descent down into the world. And that destruction that happens to the Shechinah, right? That lowering of the Shechinah is felt, is pained by who? By the owner, by the husband in many places. It's called Kuchabrichu and Shechinte, is feeling this. Ve'azla ha, and this secret is brought forward. It says in Isaiah that the tzaddik is lost. So what does that mean? What does the tzaddik lose? The tzaddik loses the Shechinah over here. That the tzaddik is feeling that his soulmate, that feminine aspect of God, is now in exile. So the Zohar continues. Amar Rabbi Yesa says, somebody that respects, that brings the honor of Hashem in this, v'natir hai, and referring to the level of keeping the honor of Hashem on the level of safeguarding one's covenant. And the covenant over here is the sexual covenant. Zachad yokir le mare al kula, then that person will be respected above all. And how do we know this? Who do we know this by? Minal and Yosef. We know this by Yosef. Tichtiv vayarkev oto b'rimkevet hamishna shelo chtiv v'naton oto al kol Mitzrayim. So Yosef is honored and is blessed, is uplifted because of what he did, because he safeguarded his covenant, that it was connected to that purity, to that source, and he didn't sway after the wife of Potiphar. So therefore, he was uplifted. And also, what happened was, as he's traveling in the desert, so we know that what was there, Arona de Yosef, there was the Aron, there was the Ark of Yosef that was there, Bekadmita, that went even in front of the Ark of the Covenant, Velohavu. And that was afterwards. But over there, when they were reaching the water, the water split in honor of Yosef. What does it say? That the water ran away? Because it says that just like it says by Vayanos, A similar language, that vayanus means to run away, that Yosef ran away from the wife of Potiphar. So it says by the water, so the water split or ran away from being together. Tachazi, come and see, Zachi likara b'chayoy, that Yosef merited to have honor in his lifetime, Zachi likar b'mitate, and he had honor in his death. B'chayav amai, why during his lifetime? Begin ahuzman lo ba litabka ba, because during his lifetime he did not allow himself to cling on to her, meaning the wife of Potiphar. Dichtiv vayema'en, it says that Yosef, he held himself back and he refused. Vayemer le'eshet adonav, he said to the wife of his master, Uchtiv elo shama eleh, and he said, I'm not going to listen to you. He didn't listen to her. Lishka vesa liotima, to be intimate with her and to be with her, literally begin and to be with her, and even in the next world, because we know that had he been with her, then that would have taken him away from the connection to his higher self, but also his place in the next world, his spiritual standing. And so because of that, begin kach zacha b'hai alma, and therefore he merited having this level in this world, this honor, kiva nichdivatit paser bebigdo, since it said that she grabbed him with his cloak, with his garment, uchtiva yanas ve'etzah chutza, and he ran away, zachi levatar de'a legu paruchta ilah, and therefore he merited to reach the level of the parochet. Parochet refers to this chamber of the Holy of Holies, that he merited to reach the level of Holy of Holies, which the Holy of Holies has a clothing, or it's called a parochet, a cloak that was in front of it in the time of the first temple. And so because he guarded his cloak, right, his clothing, what he was reaching, what he was doing, so then he merited to reach this higher level of going beyond the cloak, going to a level of the Holy of Holies. And because of that, he merited reaching the reward of this world, being the viceroy of all of Egypt, being the strongest person alive. And he also received this reward of the next world. So now this relates to the Zohar and Pinchas. Pinchas, Zacha b'hai alma v'zacha b'alma de'ati. Pinchas merited this world and the next world. And he merited having more, reaching a higher level than anyone that went out of Egypt. He reached the level of the higher priesthood. And him and all of his children after him. We happen to come from the lineage of Pinchas. So this is very humbling to receive this teaching, because of what of our ancestors does, and basically what any of us can do. We have an effect not only for us in this lifetime, but for our next world and for our descendants. And we say that Pinchas did not reach this level of the priesthood until he did this. This is true. He didn't achieve the kahuna because he was born after or he was born before the kahuna was actually merited and given over to the children of Aaron and Elazar, etc. He merited because he was zealous for Hashem, and he took on a very, almost like an extreme act. Because he did what he did, he merited having what he did not have before, which is the priesthood. Tachazi kol kohen de katil nefesh, it says that if any kohen, any priest that really goes ahead and kills someone, so then he becomes disqualified in his priesthood. Because what is the idea of the priesthood, the kahuna? It's the side of chesed, of loving kindness. And this person goes ahead and kills, that is the opposite energy of the priesthood. And so it should have been the case with Pinchas, because he killed Zimri and he killed Cosbi, the head of the tribe of Shimon and the princess of Midian. Pinchas, Mindina paselichuna, Pinchas, out of like the side of really of the side of what should have been, he should have been disqualified. So because he took on this extreme act. So then the Torah goes back and recounts his lineage. And it says that he has the eternal kahuna forever, for him and his children, for all of generations. Rabbi Yitzchak Tachazi. Rabbi Yitzchak comes and says, come and see. Rashim hu Pinchas le'ela. Pinchas is written up above. In other words, what he did is written up above in the highest places in heaven. Rashim hu le'tatin, also written down below in this world. Ad lo yipuk le'alma, and even before he was even born. In other words, what he did was something that was in his potential that he grew into. Because he was with the ones that left Egypt before he was actually even did what he did. So in other words, the Zohar is telling us that we're born with potential, that we are born with the potential of really doing amazing things. They may not be like, wow, but they're the right things to do. And those right things have the power of distinguishing us from choosing the wrong path, which may place us in a completely different place, and choosing our potential. And so we find that by Yosef, and we know that Pinchas actually came from the soul of Yosef, the Zohar says earlier. And we see that Pinchas also chose to live on his highest potential. So when we do choose, then it brings us to not just do the right thing for ourselves, but do the right things for all of our generations that are to come out of us. And we harness that potential. So may all of us harness the potential that we have within us to bring about the potential and bring it into actuality, acting in the ways that are aligned to our highest self, to the greatest will of Hashem, and bring about the greatest level of Hashem's delight in this world. V'noam Hashem Elokeinu. We merit the ultimate redemption in peace and in rachamim, in love.